Hello, very good morning to everyone. Apologies, we are a little bit late getting started with so many people. We were just waiting for everyone to just try and join us. I know there was a few people just signing up last minute there. But very good morning to you all. Thank you for joining me. My name is Chris, and I'm one of the Shortcuts educators and training specialists. So this morning we are going to be taking a look at our cloud features. Now we're going to get through as many as we can, but primarily we're going to look at setting up that cloud appointment book on the lead up to Christmas. I know it's a little bit earlier, but it is just around the corner. We are going to be ensuring that you've got your appointment diary set up and your staff can access their diary and make any appointments and everything like that. So if you've never joined me for one of my masterclasses before, great to have you on board. There is a few different sort of ways we tend to present them. Sometimes we do primarily PowerPoint presentations mixed with a live demonstration. This morning's going to be around 50-50. I know recently I've sort of done all live demonstrations and very small PowerPoint presentations, but for this morning, it's going to be around 50-50. Okay, so we will be doing a little bit of a PowerPoint presentation just to build into it, and then we'll look at a live demonstration just so you can see how it works. So before we get into the fun stuff, as always, the duration of this webinar will be approximately 60 minutes. Good morning. Thank you ever so much. We're literally just getting started. Sorry, everyone. Just a few more people joining with us. We're literally just going through it now. So we're literally just introducing, but thank you ever so much for joining us. So first things first, the duration of this webinar, it's going to be approximately 60 minutes long, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, depending on sort of how many questions we get. On the subject of questions as well, I've had quite a few questions since our last one. So if you are still waiting on an answer from the questions for me, they should be sent through in the next couple of days. We're very busy last week, just taking care of something else. So if you are still waiting on the questions from my last webinar to get ready for Christmas and talking about things like that, they will be answered very, very soon. So I apologize, it's taken a little while there. So questions will be taken during or at the end. Feel free to unmute yourself if you want to have a chat with me. Feel free to pop it in the comment box, whatever you feel most confident doing. Like I said, I did have quite a few questions after last Wednesday's Christmas masterclass, and I'm just waiting on some clarification on a few of those. So like I said, if you are still waiting on an answer from one of your questions or demos, please just bear with me. I will get back to you as soon as possible. So here's the deal. Today, we will learn why you should be using the cloud appointment book as well as the cloud upsell. So it's very easy, it's very quick, and it's very simple to use. So introducing then the cloud appointment book. So if you're not sure what this is, it's often referred to as an app, all sorts of things like that. That's perfectly fine. But it is the cloud appointment book, and it's internet browser enabled. All you require is internet or data or anything along those lines there. So it's a fully functioning mobile appointment book that you can use anytime or anywhere. You can view those upcoming appointments, make new appointments, access client record, and add tasks. So with that being said, it is the best features from your Fusion appointment book in the cloud. And as we said, all you're going to need, ladies and gents, is an internet connection. Or of course, most of us now will have unlimited data. It works perfectly fine. So we can be making those appointments around the clock. We know we're going to be busy on the lead up to the festive period. People WhatsApping, Instagramming, Facebooking us left, right, and center to get those appointments in. All we need is we just need that cloud appointment book to get those appointments booked in. And I'm also going to show you today how you can look at your KPIs. So what's so great about it? Why do we need it? So here's why you need it in your life. It works with a flexibility that suits you, your business, and your lifestyle. So it's very easy to make appointments around the clock from home, on the move, on the train, wherever you may be. You can achieve mobility in the salon. So what does that mean? Well, if we're moving away from the reception desk, let's say it's crowded, it's busy, but we need to get those color notes. We need to get those treatment visit notes. It gives us that flexibility. You can check your history by the client side and update their details from the privacy of a treatment room. So if you want to up those color notes, do it at the styling station. If you want to up your beauty formula notes, do it in the treatment room. You don't need to go to the reception desk. It gives you that flexibility. Helps you provide an even more personalized and attentive guest experience. So it means you can discuss products one-to-one. You can add extra services on. So maybe you did a treatment or anything like that. That can be added on as well. So it's much more attentive. So you can basically stand with them and discuss it. No need, to discuss it while we're on the way out the door or anything like that. So then from that, introducing the cloud upsell. So you can add products and services to the point of sale from the convenience of a tablet or a smartphone. So then all you need to do is open up your cloud appointment book and literally just add those products on. As we said, we don't need to be doing it at the reception desk. They're already thinking about going back to work, going home, whatever it may be. So we can do that in a styling seat or in a treatment room. You can create a more personalized experience for the client by recommending products and services in the chair or the treatment room rather than upselling at the checkout. So as we said, when they're already thinking about leaving, getting back to the car, getting back home, getting back to work, they're already out the door, let's do it in a treatment room where they're already comfortable. We can discuss those products. And also as well, sometimes they are of a very slight personal nature. If you want to do it in the treatment room or at the styling station away from everyone else, you're giving that more personalized experience. When the customer gets to the point of sale, the products will already be there waiting for them, providing a more premium experience. Now, not only that, as we can see, it's going to be faster and a much more seamless checkout experience. So if we can add that toner on, if we can add that treatment on in the treatment room or at the styling station, soon as they get to the point of sale screen, it's bang, just going to quickly take the money. That client can be on their way. It's going to reduce congestion at the checkout desks, especially on the lead up to Christmas. We're going to keep the flow going. That client's in a hurry if they come in your lunch break and they've only got that very small window. They don't want to be waiting around at the reception desk. It is a fantastic feature for that. So then, what's so great about it? Well, one of the most important things is we can avoid missing product sales by adding items onto the sale during the client's visit. And did you add on services during the consultation? Update the point of sale transaction right from the chair. How many of us have done this? That client has been booked in for that root tint and it ends up being a full head tint. They're booked in for the cut and blow dry. We ended up adding on that Olaplex or that Wellaplex treatment. But we did that in a consultation. We forgot to update our Shortcuts Fusion system. It is crucial we never miss that upsell again. So if we've got that cloud appointment book and you're allowed to have your phone on you, for example, just quickly nip out the back or, just quickly by the side, just say to the client, 2023, I've lost 3 years there. 2023, a lot of us are doing a lot of things with our phones and things like that. Now, just say to the client, yeah, we're just going to discuss that treatment. Now, I'm just going to add that on for you. So when we get to the checkout desk, there's no waiting around for you. You can just simply pay and be on your way. So never miss charging for an upsell again. So introducing then cloud reporting. All your essential reports in the cloud, easy to use with a drop dead gorgeous dashboard. I will try to get to the reports today if I can. If not, just let me know. I'm happy to do a one-to-one session with the cloud on the lead up to the Christmas for reporting and things like that. But I will hopefully be able to show you all the reports and KPI tiles and things like that for today. So it's very simple to read. We've got easy to read graphs, table and reports. If you're like me, ladies and gents, I'm very visual, but at the same time, I like it to be very specific. So we've got those pie charts, we've got those graphs, we've got that data. It's easy to read. And of course, we can access it via the cloud from your phone, tablet or laptop. So if you're at home, if you're on holiday over the festive break, open up that cloud. Let's have a look at it. So the reports and KPIs. So what are KPIs? It's key performance indicators. Okay, so key performance indicators. And we basically have 10 tiles you'll be able to see. Net sales, average spend, customers, rebooking, service and retail sales, upsells, very important, employee performance, employee productivity, and your trading summary. A lot of you may have seen some of these reports in my reporting masterclasses. They are very similar. So that's our reports and KPIs. Excellent stuff. So that is our introduction into the cloud this morning, ladies and gents. If you do want to learn even more about it, just give our customer care team a call. 0161 972 4900, option 1, and then option 2. For this morning, for the next 45 minutes, I am going to show you how to open up and access this cloud appointment book. So the first thing we need to do is we need to open up an internet connection. Excellent stuff. So the first thing you will notice is I have opened up the online console. Now, we've all seen this online console before, so why have I opened this up this morning? Well, there are actually 2 ways to access your cloud appointment book. So as we said, the only thing we really require is an internet connection. So there's 2 ways to open up your cloud appointment book. The first is to use your online console as a stepping stone. So once you're in the online console here, which for the purposes of this masterclass is just console.shortcutssoftware.com, or you can click underneath your pin screen. You can click underneath your pin screen on your Shortcuts Fusion, and there's a little icon that says console login. You can all have a quick look at that now. If you like, you may have always wondered what that was, but underneath your normal Fusion login, under the pins where you pop your pin in, there's a button that says console login. That will actually take you to the online console here. Once we're in the online console, you can click Shortcuts Cloud in the top right-hand corner. We can use the console as a stepping stone to take us to the cloud. And this will take us to the cloud. So that is the first way to open up the cloud. The second way, as we said, it's just purely an internet browser. All we need to do is type in the web address. Now, the web address to access the cloud is just pos.shortcutssoftware.com. pos.shortcutssoftware.com. Your username and your password for the cloud is exactly the same as the console, so you only have 1 set of credentials. If you can't access either the console or the cloud, or you are having any issues, please drop me a message at the end. We can get that sorted out for you. Okay. So that's the 2 ways to open up our cloud appointment book, using the console as an online stepping stone and just simply typing in the web address pos.shortcutssoftware.com. Now, of course, it is going to be quite time consuming, ladies and gents, if every time you want to access this fantastic feature, you've got to type in that web address. So what can we do? If you're accessing this on a phone and you've typed in that web address, if you are using an Android phone, typically in the bottom right or the top right, there are 3 lines or 3 dots, usually like the settings button. If you tap onto that, there should be an option that says add to home screen. Okay, usually the top right or the bottom right. If you're doing this on an Apple device, the center of the bottom of your screen is what we call the Apple Share button. The Apple Share button is a square with an arrow facing upwards. All you need to do, tap onto that button, scroll down, there's usually add to and then add to home screen. So that's all you need to do there. Now, once you've saved that to the home screen, that will work just like an app. So you don't need to keep typing in the web address or anything like that. You can just literally hit that add to home screen button and it will save it just like an app. So hopefully everyone has now got that saved. If you are experiencing issues or you're not able to find the add to home screen, what I would just recommend, keep having a little look, keep playing around with it. If not, it does change for each individual sort of, how can I put it? It does change for each model of phone, sorry. Give it a quick YouTube and just say add to home screen button on iPhone 13 or add to home screen button on. Sorry about that. Add to. Can everyone just say if they can just hear me just very, very quickly? Just pop a quick message in there if you can hear me. Lovely. So hopefully everyone has managed to get that added onto their home screen now. Apologies for the slight delay with sound there. So yes, hopefully everyone's managed to get that saved onto the home screen of their device. Now, once we've got the cloud appointment book saved, the next thing we would need to do is just literally set up the rest of your staff. Now, it's completely security enabled. So if you only want to set up certain staff members, that is absolutely perfectly fine. So once we are in the cloud appointment book, we can now take a look at setting up your staff members. So in the top left-hand corner, all we need to do is just click menu. So once we've clicked onto menu, we're going to go down to employees and roster. Okay, so second option down, employees and roster. Then to the right-hand side, we're going to click employees. Now, on the left-hand side, you will see a list of all of your staff members. So all we require to set up a staff member is literally their email address. So whichever staff member you wish to set up, you literally just select that staff member. And down the center bottom of your screen, we have this option that says roles and login. Now, once we click onto roles and login, in the top right-hand corner, we just need to change that login access from no to yes. Then underneath, you can see we have a username and an email. Now, a username, as a rule of thumb, this is purely a rule of thumb. As a username, we purely keep the username the same as an email. Now, when yourselves logged into the console and the cloud, you will probably find your username was your email address. So as a rule of thumb, we keep that username and email address, just so we're all kind of singing from the same hymn sheet. Underneath, you will require an email address, okay? Now, the reason we need that email address listed in there is so this particular employee can be sent their username, a random password, and the website URL, which is we know as pos.shortcutssoftware.com. Now, as this is purely a masterclass, I'm going to give you a top tip. If you are assigning an employee with a username with the email address that has a hyphen in it, occasionally it will not allow that username to be used if it's got a hyphen or special characters in it. If that is the case, I would recommend just keep their username, their first and their last name. Now, that's only on very rare occasions, I'll be totally honest. It doesn't allow a username, sometimes with hyphens and exclamation marks and things like that. But the email address will be perfectly fine, so there's no need to worry there. It will still be sent. It's purely the email address. Okay, underneath we have two role types, employee and site manager. Now, these two role types are basically the same as security in your shortcut system, okay? Now, this will determine what this employee will have access to, so what they can see within the cloud appointment book. Now, I'm going to give the default level of access or the default level of permission for each role type, but you can tweak it, and we will talk about that in just a sec. So, by default, an employee will have access to their own column only. They will only be able to edit their column during their working hours or their rostered hours. Outside of their working hours, they will have a view mode only, okay? They will also only have access to their own report, their own employee performance report. But that level of permission there can be changed. Now, site manager. Site manager by default will give this employee or this site manager access to everybody's column. They will be able to edit and view their column outside and inside 24/7 of their working hours. They will also have access to configuration items. Now, configuration items is what we're going through right now. It's setting people up. And it will also have access to all business reports in the dashboard. So you would just simply choose whichever role type you feel is most applicable. Now, at this stage, ladies and gents, if you're thinking to yourself, well, it's sort of what I want it to be, but that employee's not quite right and the site manager's not quite right, I want to tweak it. Not a problem. set them up, and then we can tweak it in just a sec. So all we would then do is click done, and that would set that staff member up. So we've discussed those default levels of permissions. We've discussed the employee and what they can see, and we've discussed the site manager and what they can see. But what about then if we want to tweak those default levels of permission, or maybe we want to create our own? Maybe we want an assistant manager. That's perfectly fine. We can do all of that within the Cloud Appointment Book. So to do this, we just click Menu in the top left-hand corner, and we're going to go down to Business Settings. To the right-hand side, you will see we have a little star that says Roles. We're going to click onto Roles, and you will see on the left-hand side, we have those two default role types, Employee and Site Manager. Now, to the right-hand side, you will see we've got the permissions, and we've got all of these ticks here. I can view my appointments. I can create my appointments. I can update my appointments, and so forth. And we can then cross-reference the employee role with the site manager role. And we can see that just there. So naturally, we can see the site manager has a lot more levels of access and permissions than the employee. So then what about if we want to change them? So you look at this at face value and you think, well, maybe I want to take that tick away, or maybe I want to add a tick, but I'm not able to do it. So then how do we access and edit the levels of permission? So to the left-hand side, you can see we've got this red word that says permissions. So all we need to do is actually click the red word. We're not going to click to the left and minimize it. We're actually going to click the red word permissions. So we click onto that red word permissions, and you can see here we've got a list of my staff members that have been assigned this role type already. But we're going to continue scrolling down until we see our permission categories, such as appointment book, configuration, and general, and so forth. So all we're going to do is expand the permission category, and we're just going to toggle no to yes and yes to no. Now, one of the most common ones I get asked when we're talking about the cloud is, by default, an employee role will only be able to edit their column during their working hours. So if they're at home or on their day off and a client wishes to book in with them, naturally they're not going to be able to make an appointment. So if you do want an employee role to be able to make appointments around the clock, all we need to do is toggle under General. I can access this site with my normal permissions outside my rostered hours, and that will give the other permissions, all of these permissions here that are all toggled to yes, that will give them access outside of their rostered hours. So all we need to do is just toggle that from no to yes, and then just click done in the bottom right hand corner. Now, please bear in mind, ladies and gents, if you are changing the role type and you've got multiple staff members, so you can see I've got 2 staff members under that role type. If you are changing that role type, please bear in mind that it will change it for everybody. So just please bear that in mind. So with that being said, you may wish to create your own role type, maybe one that has a little bit higher access than employee, but a little bit less access than site manager. So you can create your own role type. So all we need to do is just click New down the center bottom of the screen. And you can pop in the role template here. So I'm just going to call it Senior Staff. Underneath, you can also upgrade or promote an existing staff member. So as you can see, we've got Bruna and we've got Britt. They're both under employee, but we're going to promote them. Okay, so we're going to give them that higher level of access. We can just toggle that access there. Or if you need to, no problem whatsoever, create a login. So as we did at the beginning, I showed you how to create a login via employees and rosters, but you can also do it this way as well if you're creating it specifically, for example, David. Now, please bear in mind, ladies and gents, when you're creating this brand new role type, so we've created Senior Staff, when it comes to the permissions, please scroll all the way down to the bottom to those exact same permission categories. And please bear in mind, everything by default will be set to no, because of course we don't know whether we want it to be a really strict level of access or a really lenient level of access. So just please bear that in mind. When you're happy, all you need to do in the bottom right hand corner is literally just click done, and that will set up that brand new role type. Okay, so if we just reiterate very quickly, we've discussed how to access the cloud appointment book. We've discussed how to set up an employee and give them a role. And then we've also looked at how to create and edit existing role types as well to give exactly the correct level of permission we require. So now we are all set up. We are now ready to have a little look at our appointment diary and get making some appointments. But just very quickly, I have a top tip, and it's very common. I get asked this, or a lot of times people think, well, we're being troubleshooted. If you are in the cloud appointment book, so if you came from the console into the cloud appointment book and you're setting other staff members up, you've set other staff members up, it's very common to instinctively then want to set yourself up in the cloud appointment book. So some of you may have already done this, or some of you may be looking at it now. You're in the cloud appointment book and you'll think, well, I'll set myself up, because you go to menu, you go to employees, and then employees again. And you'll notice, let's say on the left-hand side, you'll be like, well, I'll try and set myself up. But when you try and do this, it tells you the username is already in use and the email address is already in use. The reason is you're already in the cloud because you're setting staff members up. It's something we get asked quite often, to be totally honest. Someone will email me and say, I'm not able to set myself up. It says my username, my email address is already in use. It's because you're literally already in the cloud. It may be we set you up several months or years ago, or maybe you were set up previously and you just forgot. But if you're already in the cloud, don't worry about what it says on the left-hand side. You don't need to set yourself up. You're already in the cloud. Excellent stuff. So then, how do we make an appointment in this fantastic feature? So right in the top left-hand corner, you will see you have appointments. Now, if you are attempting to do this on your mobile phone, that is perfectly fine. Feel free to join in along. What I would just say, ladies and gents, is just turn your mobile phone to landscape mode, because occasionally you may lose all of the icons along the top here. So just make sure you've got your phone in landscape mode, especially if you've got multiple staff members. If not, it's perfectly fine to just keep it sort of as it is, but landscape mode will work slightly better, so it functions a bit more like a handheld device. So in the top left-hand corner, this is not too dissimilar to your main shortcuts Fusion. It will take into account capabilities and resources. So you'll notice, for example, this particular person here, we've got the same sort of orange clash icon here. It does take into account any resources and capabilities. So in the top left-hand corner, we can see we've got a little calendar, and today is Monday the 13th of November. We can click onto that calendar or tap onto that calendar. You can see we've got the today icon here, and we've got some arrow keys along the top here. This enables us to switch between months and dates. Today's date is always highlighted, so we can see if I just circle around it, Monday the 13th, it's always highlighted. But what we can do, we can click any particular day and we can go to that day. Along the top, you will see we have a list of all of our staff members. Down the left-hand side, you will see we have our appointment intervals, 8:30, 8:45, 9, and so forth. Down the center bottom of our screen, we have those exactly the same 5 buttons that we have in our Shortcuts Fusion button. We've got the today icon, and we've got the arrow keys to navigate us forwards and backwards. You'll also notice we've got the week icon again. If we click or tap onto the week icon, we can skip forward 1 week at a time, and we can go back to today. Now, 2 things that we have in the cloud that we do not have in our Shortcuts Fusion system. One of them is these hour markers just here. So 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m., and so forth. This just makes it that little bit easier when we're working on a phone or a tablet, whichever it may be, to just simply see where we're going to be making an appointment. Now you will also notice we've got this red line which runs through the day just here. Again, this helps us just keep track as to where we are. Down in the bottom view, we also have this week view icon. So for example, what we can do, we can click on an employee here and just highlight next to their name, and we can see Gary has been highlighted. And then down the bottom, we can click on to week view. And that will show Gary's full working week. So this is great if you are set up with site manager access, or you tweaked the role type to give access to multiple staff members, and you're wanting to make an appointment for different staff members, and you're just wanting to see the full working week. And we can eradicate all the other employees from our view just to really zone in on this and ensure we're booking the correct appointment. Then in the bottom left, we can just click day view, and it just takes us right back to where we were. Now what we can also do, you can see Gary's not set to work today, but Bruno is, Dave isn't, Brittany is, Leo is, and so forth like that. And again, if we're looking at on a laptop or a mobile phone or a tablet, you might want to tweak your views. You might be thinking, I only really want to see who's rostered on today. That's perfectly fine. We can do so. In the top left-hand corner, you will notice we have what looks like an upside-down triangle created by these 3 lines. This is our filter option. If you're also looking at your Shortcuts Fusion system, you'll notice in the bottom left-hand corner, there is what looks like a kitchen funnel, or a margarita glass, or a golf tee, whichever it may be. That is the same filter button just here. So we can click onto the filter button in the top left-hand corner. We can click onto that, and we can filter our diary down. So for example, we've got the filter to show just rostered on, levels, capabilities, gender, alias, or specific employees, or as well as awaiting review if you're using online booking. So all we're going to do is just change to rostered on. Then in the bottom right-hand corner, we're going to click on to apply. And you can see that will only show me my staff members that are rostered on to work today. And we can remove that filter in the top left-hand corner by just simply taking the tick away. Now, you might think, I don't want to keep configuring that. Is there a way that I can save that filter so I can just simply tap onto it? Yep, that's perfectly fine. We thought of that as well. So again, I'm going to go back to my filters in the top left-hand corner. I'm going to tap onto that, and I'm going to change rostered on. And then down the center bottom of my screen, you'll notice we've got the save icon. We can click on to save, pop a little name at the top there, and just call it rostered on to make it nice and easy. And we're just going to click save and apply in the bottom right hand corner. Now you'll now notice along the top, this is a pre-created one here for seniors, but you'll notice I've got this filter. It's almost like an internet tab. I can just filter backwards and forwards here. So I don't even need to configure that filter anymore. I can just simply flick between the top, and it will make your life so much easier. Maybe you want to put on your colorists, your therapists, seniors, juniors, or rostered on, as you saw in my example there. It will make your life so much easier to be able to flick backwards and forwards between that there. And that is our appointment diary as an overview, as well as filtering. Now, I did just have a couple of questions come through there. I'm just going to take a quick look at those now. Bear with me just 2 seconds. Excellent stuff. So that is our appointment diary as an overview. Now, the most important thing, we're going to take a look at adding in an appointment. We're going to look at making appointments. So what we're going to do, we've got our diary just here. What we're going to do is we're going to make an appointment. So all we need to do is simply just click on a time when we want to make that appointment. So I'm going to make an appointment in Leo's column just here. So all we need to do is click onto it, and we can see we can search for customers. These are existing customers in your database. Or underneath, you can search for recent customers, any checked out customers, that's checked out customers from Fusion, and any remaining customers for today. Again, a nice, quick and easy shortcut. Maybe we need to add in an extra service or anything like that. What you can also do down the center bottom of your screen is you can click the new customer icon, and you can also click task as well. So if you need to schedule a task or a break or a a lunch, you can do that through the cloud as well. Or you can add a brand new customer in here as well. But let's search for an existing customer. Let's see who we've got. Once we've clicked onto that client, you can see all of their profile details just here, and you can add in any notes as well. This is the same yellow post-it note that we have in our Shortcuts Fusion system. Underneath, we can see those future appointments, just to double check that they're not double booking. You can also add in an alert. That is the same orange red exclamation mark we have in Fusion. If you have those alerts set up in Fusion, they will also pull through into the cloud as well. But if you do need to edit it, you've got the pencil to the right-hand side just here to do so. And then from here, we're just going to continue making our appointment. So down the center bottom, we're going to click on to next. At the top here, you can search for service categories, or you can search for services. You can even search, just use previous services, or you can choose from the service categories as normal. If this client has requested this employee, we can place a tick in the request box just here. And then we're just going to click done in the bottom right-hand corner. Now, if you are using tags in your Fusion system, these will also pull through as well. And down the bottom, we can now see the services party lashes. We can see the resource. Again, this is pulled through from Fusion. And we're just going to finalize this by clicking done in the bottom right-hand corner. And there is our appointment just there. Now you will notice in the top left here, we have our resource line, exactly the same in Fusion. And you will also notice we've had this orange color appear. Again, this is because Leo is not capable of doing this service. So it does take into account those resources and those capabilities. Now, as I'm sure you're all familiar in your Shortcuts Fusion system, you can make the appointments longer and shorter. Now, if you are doing this on a phone or a laptop or a tablet, there is a bit of a knack to get to it. You will pick it up very quickly. But to make the appointment longer and shorter, all we're going to do is, if you're doing this touchscreen first and foremost, is just place your finger just for a split second in the bottom right-hand corner. Just place your finger and then just gradually swipe down, okay? Because otherwise, if you try and do it too quickly, you may find you swipe up and down on the actual screen just there as I'm doing there to demonstrate. A handy tip, just place your finger in the bottom right-hand corner. I'm going to place my finger, I'm going to place my mouse, I'm going to click, drag, and we're going to make that appointment longer and shorter. And we can do exactly the same to move the appointment around. If I place my cursor or my finger in the top left-hand corner, I'm going to click or place my finger for a split second, and I'm going to swipe and drag, and we're just going to move that appointment around. Now you will notice as I do so, for example, in Gary, Bruno, David, and Taylor, and Leo's column, you'll notice it goes a sort of dashed grey. Let's have a little look at that again. As I go to move that, you'll notice it goes like a dashed grey colour. The reason that is letting me know we should not be making an appointment in those particular people's column. That could be capabilities, or it could be they are not rostered on. And that is how we can make an appointment and move the appointment around. Now, some of you will be familiar about further appointment options in Fusion. Now, you can typically get to these by right-clicking, but you may have also noticed it in your Shortcuts Fusion system. You can tap onto the appointment, brings up a small window, and you get those three dots in the bottom right-hand corner. If you've never seen that before or it's not working, give it a try now. Just tap onto your Fusion appointment diary. You should get a square with some three dots, and it should look very similar to this here. Now, this is what we call the touch tip menu, and we've introduced it in Fusion to replicate and mirror exactly what we have in the cloud here. So once we've clicked onto the appointment, and we've tapped onto the appointment in the cloud, you can see we get all of the information just here. In the bottom right-hand corner, we've got those three dots. We can click onto the three dots and we get a lot of further appointment options, such as arrived, no-show, awaiting review, cancel, SMS customer, and so forth. So give that a try in your cloud and then give it a try in your Fusion. We've introduced it there as well, so it mirrors and replicates alongside. So all we were doing there is just tapping onto the appointment, clicking those three dots in the bottom right, and we get those further appointment options. So we can now just start to arrive our clients. And we can see we get that exact same blue color legend that pulls through in our Shortcuts Fusion system. So then what about if we want to start rebooking the customer? But again, we can tap onto that appointment. We got those three dots in the bottom right-hand corner, and we've got reschedule just here. So all we need to do is click onto reschedule, choose from the calendar in the top left-hand corner, click on a time slot to reschedule. And then all we do is click the reschedule icon to the bottom of the window. And we can just reschedule that back if necessary. So we can see already this is going to be a fantastic tool on the lead up to Christmas to be able to get those appointments moved across, reschedule if we're not in the diary. Because of course as well, we may be thinking, oh, I'm at home, I've got to reschedule that appointment. But let's think, if we are super duper busy and that client wants to reschedule their appointment, it is going to open up the diary. Online bookings, app bookings can jump in there and fill that. So it's within our best interest to get those appointments rescheduled. So what we're now going to do is look at adding in client history. Now, a lot of us do this at the point of sale screen on our Fusion system. Some of us write it down. But if we're mixing up that color, let's not forget, let's add those color notes in while we're down in the dispensary area or in the treatment room. And you can do that by tapping onto that appointment, clicking those three dots, and just literally going on to where it says customer history. And you've noticed you've got this option here that says visit notes. So we can just add that in there as well. 713 and 20 volt. All you need to do is just click anywhere outside the screen and that will save it for you. And that will also feed back to your main Fusion system as well. So we're updating it there as well. You can also click customers along your navigation bar at the top, and you can also add it in along the top here as well. Once you found that customer, you can click the history icon down the bottom and update it there as well. Okay, so let's arrive as many customers as we've got. Let's see if we can move this across. Okay, so we've spoken about cloud upsell and everything that, adding, making sure we've got the history and everything like that as well. Now, once you've arrived the client, you'll notice at the top of the screen, you've got a POS option right at the top of the screen. Now, I'm using a test system, but what you should have, once you've arrived your customers, you should be able to see your customers appear here. Now, unfortunately, I'm not able to see it on my test system for this morning, but once you've arrived those customers, once you go into point of sale, it's just not synchronizing here. Once you've clicked onto that, arrived it, go into the point of sale at the top, you'll be able to add extra services on, you'll be able to add extra products on. It's a great way moving forward to ensure we never miss that sale. So just make sure you've always arrived that client as well there. And that, ladies and gents, is our cloud appointment book. It's a fantastic tool to have. Just very quickly, we've got just over 10 minutes left. I'm just going to very quickly show you one of my favorite reports in the cloud. It's something we should all be looking at, and it is called the dashboard. Okay. Now at the top here, we can click onto dashboard, and you can set yourself a date range just here. So I'm going to look at the entire year, should we say. But you can set yourself a date range just there. You can filter between sites if you've got multiple sites, and you can filter your employees. By default, it will show you all employees. You can also filter between excluding tax and including tax as well. And then we just click view to the right-hand side. Now, along the top here, we've got our 10 KPI tiles, key performance indicators, KPI tiles. Now, what this does is whatever date range you've inputted there, it will track that date range with the year prior to it. Okay, so you can track how well you're doing. Now, naturally, I'd only really recommend doing this by like a weekly basis or a monthly basis. I wouldn't track like an entire, well, I suppose you could do an entire year actually, but I would usually do like a week or a month just to see how we did in October 2023 in comparison to October 2022. And you'll see in the top right hand corner, we have these little icons just here with a percentage next to them. And that is a way to show us whether we've increased or decreased on the year prior to it. So you can see, unfortunately, I've decreased. Okay, so I'm down 86%. I've not done too well. I've had a bit of a bad year. And we can see this just along the top here. So net sales, that is service and retail combined. Okay, there's our service and retail combined. It doesn't include gift cards or anything like that because they were typically used in service or retail sales. So it won't be on the sale of gift cards or anything like that. Average per ticket. A ticket is what we refer to as a transaction. So we can see the average spend is £77, and that's from 8 tickets. And that is really just worked out from taking the total sales and dividing it by the amount of transactions we've had to give us the average there. You can also see our visits. So I've had 8 visits or 8 transactions. New customer visits. So 5 of my 8 visits were brand new. So we can see how many new customers we're getting. Is the business growing? And that's 63% new customers. And then we've got rebookings. So 0 out of my 8 visits, rebooks. That's 0%. Now it is worth just bearing in mind, ladies and gents, with rebooking. If you track rebookings in Fusion, you will typically have the employee rebooking credit set up. If that doesn't make any sense to you, it's not a problem. If you are using it, as soon as you click that rebook, at the point of sale screen, it will say, do you want to give an employee a credit? That's the rebooking. In the cloud, it doesn't work like that. It's much easier. If a client rebooks at a point of sale screen, yes, that is classed as a rebooking. But it's also, if they go home, ring up, make an appointment, or they book online, up until the middle of the next working day, it will be classed as a rebooking in the cloud. So a little bit more flexibility there, because we know what it's like. The client doesn't have their diary at the point of sale screen. They go home, they ring up, and then it's not classed as a rebooking. But in the cloud, it will be. We've got our service sales along the top here. That's service transactions. And then we've got our retail sales here as well. Retail items per ticket. Okay, so we've got our retail items per ticket. 6 products sold from 8 tickets. And that just gives us that little decimal just there. Now, retail conversion. That is if a client was purely booked in for a service. So let's say I was booked in for a root tint, but I also added on a product. So I had a retail conversion. So 6 from 8 service visits bought retail. Okay, so 6 products, we can see that there. 6 from 8 service visits bought retail, and that's 75%. And last but not least, we have our upsells, and it's exactly the same. It's if that client was booked in for a service, but they also purchased a retail product, that is classed as an upsell. And we can see that 6 retail just here. But it is also if they added on an extra service at the point of sale screen. So for example, if they were booked in for that root tint, but you added on a blow dry, that is classed as an upsell because you upsold the service. Now, as well as this, if a client is previously booked in at any point, maybe they booked in 2 weeks ago, and they ring up the day before and they add on a service, that is also classed as an upsell because they may have rang up and spoke to somebody. It is classed as an upsell. Now, underneath, if you're like me, you'd like to draw comparisons. We've got these pie charts just here. So we can see we've got our service sales, okay? So we can see yellow straight away is any pre-booked appointments or appointments not booked out, okay? So if you did not check any appointments out, this will be classed as your pre-booked. If not, if you're looking at a date range into the future, this is your pre-booked appointments. Service is the blue section, pinky purple is retail, and the green other are things like sundry payments, gift cards. Then to the right, you've got your booking, visit, and source. So how are our clients making appointments? Where are they making their bookings on? What platform? Unknown is typically things like the Anywhere app or Google Reserve. We've got the Shortcuts Cloud Appointment Book, Shortcuts Fusion, that's the name of your main Shortcuts Fusion system, online booking, and the mobile guest app as well. So this is a great way moving forward if you're seeing the majority of your customers are making the appointment through Fusion, which is typically the case because that will be face-to-face or over the phone, but they're not utilizing our mobile guest app, or they're not utilizing the cloud appointment book, or they're not utilizing online booking. We can then use our marketing. We can use cloud-based marketing, which if you're joining me at 12 o'clock for gift cards, I'll be very briefly touching on marketing. You can then use your cloud-based marketing to advertise those platforms. We can let our customers know about the mobile guest app. We can let our customers know about the online booking. And then to the right-hand side, we've got our clients' visits by status, new and returning. Because of course, we always want to see those returning customers because of course, it means we're doing something right and our customers love us. But we want our business to grow. So we want new customers to be appearing as well. So it's fantastic to really get a bit of a hand on the types of clients we have as well. Then as we scroll down, we've got our employee performance. Employee performance is very similar to performance summary in your Shortcuts Fusion system. You'll notice we've got net sales, average per ticket, visits, rebooking percentage, service sales, retail sales, and retail items per ticket. And we can expand that just there. Now to the right, you will also notice we have a little arrow either facing downwards or facing upwards, or maybe it'll be a little hyphen to the side. So again, that means you've increased or decreased on the year prior to it, okay? Red is if you've increased 5%, red is if you've decreased 5% or more. Green is if you've increased 5% or more. And orange is if you're kind of on par, anywhere between 0 to 5% either way. Basically means you're on par. Now the figures here, the facts and figures that we see here, are not by how much we've increased or decreased. The arrow is purely just indicating that. The figures we see here are the actual figures for that time frame. It's not by how much we've increased or decreased. Then as we scroll down, we've also got our audit actions. Now our audit actions are any things like cancellations, voids, no-shows. And again, it is fantastic to be able to see this just here. So you might be looking at this and thinking, we've got a lot of no-shows. We've got a lot of cancellations. We've got a lot of things like that. Do we then need to start introducing a cancellation fee or, anything like that? We're getting a lot of no-shows. So it's a great way to really keep track of that data. Now, also a Shortcuts top tip for you. If you look at this and you happen to see a lot of cancellations with a lot of a monetary value there. So if you are looking at this and you're thinking that's a lot of cancellations and it's a really high value, please bear in mind, ladies and gents, that when you delete a client to potentially rebook them or reschedule them for a different day, because this is cloud-based, please bear in mind if you are doing that, it will pull through on here. It is much better to tap the appointment and use the reschedule function, because if you are deleting it to rebook it, that will pull through as a cancellation in your cloud. So just please bear that in mind moving forward, just in case you're looking at it and thinking, oh, blimey, we've had thousands of pounds worth of cancellations. It's very common. Just please bear in mind, if your staff are cancelling the appointment to rebook them, it will pull through as a cancellation. And that is it, ladies and gents. So just under the hour there, that is our cloud appointment book. Thank you ever so much for joining me this morning. Hopefully you'll all be able to join me in just over an hour when we're going to be talking about gift cards and electronic gift cards. And also as well, if you do wish to join me, we are running a bit of a special offer for our gift cards. So do join me at 12 o'clock. But of course, thank you for joining me for our cloud appointment with Masterclass today. If you do have any further questions, please feel free to drop those across to me now. Perfect, lovely stuff. Any other questions for me this morning? Like I said, hopefully you're all able to join me in about an hour's time for our gift cards, electronic gift cards. If you are joining me for that, that's going to be predominantly a PowerPoint presentation. I've got lots of things to show with gift cards and gift certificates. If you do take gift cards and gift certificates with us, you will always get a one-to-one training session with one of us as well. So please don't worry with regards to that. But hopefully you'll all be able to join me for that one as well. Perfect, lovely. Thank you ever so much for joining me this morning. It's been a pleasure speaking to everyone. Do always stay tuned for our latest masterclasses coming up. And do also make sure you follow us on our Facebook and our Instagram. Our handle for that is Shortcuts UK. As always, been a pleasure speaking to everyone. My name is Chris, and I will speak to you all again soon. Thank you ever so much. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.